Welcome to About Mansfield. It's your audio newspaper. I'm Steve Casillo, broadcasting from the Silmark Studios, along with the About Mansfield news team. Colleen Daniels, she's out there in Studio West. This is the February 18th, 2026, 308th edition. Coming up, it's Mansfield News, Talk, and Information. Let's check the stories we're covering this week.
Local ballots set for May City Council and school board races.
Voters will see local names on the March 3rd state primary ballot.
Mansfield woman pleads guilty to federal child exploitation charges.
Mansfield man held on $1 million bond on homicide and child abduction case.
State issues emergency order against local crypto firm. Legacy grad carries her talent to a national spotlight.
And in sports, baseball, basketball, and soccer, not in that order.
And in the talk segment, Steve concludes his in-studio talk with retired prosecuting attorney Denise Wilkerson. We are Mansfield's only source for news, talk, and information. This is About Mansfield.
Hey there, it's Luke from Cool Hand Electric. Are you tired of dealing with plugs or lights that just won't cooperate? Well, don't fret. Give us a call. Worried about power outages or surges damaging your precious electronics? We've got you covered. Whether it's a whole house generator or surge protection, our solution-oriented Cool Hands are ready to tailor the perfect option that suits your needs and budget. At Cool Hand Electric, excellence is still cool.
Cool Hand, Cool Hand, Cool Hand, where excellence is still cool.
Looking for a night out that's anything but ordinary? Step into Vault Seafood and Steakhouse, Mansfield's premier upscale dining experience. Savor perfectly aged steaks, fresh seafood, and handcrafted cocktails, all served in a stunning atmosphere. Want more? Enjoy private dining rooms and a cigar lounge for that extra touch of luxury. Vault delivers exceptional flavor in a one-of-a-kind atmosphere. Located at Matlock and Country Club, Vault Seafood and Steakhouse. Unforgettable nights. Unmatched taste.
Hello, I'm David Roberson, Department Chair, Ben Barber Innovation Academy, Culinary Arts, and you're listening to About Mansfield.
Welcome back to About Mansfield. This portion of the news is brought to you by Vault Seafood and Steakhouse.
Dr. Jim Vishauskas filed to run for Mansfield City Council Place 7 Thursday afternoon and will be on the ballot against Eric Rozak. Dr. V, as he's known in the community, is a veteran Texas educator who served as superintendent of Mansfield ISD. He led the district through periods of rapid growth, focusing on academic performance, operational stability, and long-range planning. His career includes multiple senior leadership roles in public school systems across Texas. Eric Rozak is a longtime Texas resident who has lived in Mansfield for 25 years, where he and his wife own local small businesses, and he entered public service out of concern for how rapid growth is affecting infrastructure, safety, schools, and small businesses. He was appointed to the Mansfield Planning and Zoning Commission in October 2025 to help guide future growth.
And Colleen, also on the ballot for May 2nd, incumbent Todd Tenori will be running unopposed for his City Council seat 6. Dr. Benita Reed is also an incumbent. She will be on the Mansfield ISD School Board ballot for her place 6, also running unopposed. And running for place 7 are incumbent Courtney Lackey Wilson and businessperson Michelle Gooch.
Texas voters, including those in Mansfield, will take part in the 2026 primary elections on March 3rd, with early voting now underway. Primary elections let voters choose which candidates will represent their party in the November general election. This year's ballot includes statewide races for governor, lieutenant governor, attorney general, land commissioner, agriculture commissioner, comptroller, and other offices, along with congressional, legislative, state board of education, and judicial seats. Texas uses an open primary system. That means voters can choose either the Republican or Democratic primary each election cycle, but not both. If a runoff election is needed, voters may only participate in the runoff for the same party primary they selected. For Mansfield area voters, one notable race is Texas Senate District 22. On the Republican side, candidates include former Mansfield Mayor David Cook, along with John Gimble and Rena Schroeder. The winner of that race will face Democratic candidate Amy Martinez Salas, who is running unopposed. In Texas House District 96, which is currently held by David Cook, Democrat Ebony Turner and Republican Ellen Fleischman are each running unopposed in the primary and will face each other in the November general election. A quick heads up for Burleson voters who live in the small portion of the city that falls within Tarrant County. There is no voting center in Burleson this year. Those voters will need to cast their ballots at a Tarrant County vote center, including locations in Crowley, Fort Worth, Kennedale, Mansfield, or any other open Tarrant County site. All voters can review their county's specific ballot order through the Texas Secretary of State's website at votetexas.gov.
A Mansfield woman has pleaded guilty to federal child exploitation charges and faces a possible sentence of up to 120 years in prison. Federal prosecutors say 31-year-old Marissa Whitcop entered guilty pleas to 4 counts of sexual exploitation of a child in U.S. District Court last week. According to court documents, she produced 4 sexually explicit videos involving a 9-year-old child and distributed some of the material through a social media application. Each count carries a mandatory minimum sentence of 15 years and a maximum of 30 years in federal prison. Sentencing is scheduled for June 9th in Fort Worth. The investigation was conducted by the U.S. Secret Service and the Mansfield Police Department. The case is being prosecuted by the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Northern District of Texas and part of the Department of Justice's Project Safe Childhood Initiative.
A 20-year-old Mansfield man remains in custody on more than $1 million bond following a homicide investigation and interstate Amber Alert that began January 31st. Mansfield police say officers were dispatched at approximately 8:50 a.m. to a home in the 200 block of Cotton Drive in Mansfield after a family member found 63-year-old Andrea Colgrove unresponsive on the floor. Emergency medical personnel pronounced her dead at the scene. An autopsy conducted in coordination with the Tarrant County Medical Examiner's Office determined that Colgrove died from a stab wound to the neck, and her death was ruled a homicide. During the initial investigation, officers learned Colgrove had legal guardianship of her 4-year-old grandson, who was not at the residence. A tan 2009 Toyota Corolla was also reported missing. The child was entered into state and national databases as a critical missing person, and the vehicle was entered as stolen. Because of his age, the child's identity has not been released. Detectives identified Raymond Carmona as Colgrove's 20-year-old son and as a suspect in both the homicide investigation and the child's disappearance. Investigators developed information indicating the vehicle had traveled into Missouri, and Missouri authorities issued an Amber Alert. According to law enforcement, shortly after the alert was broadcast, officers in Missouri located the Toyota Corolla with Carmona and the child inside. At approximately 2:40 p.m. that same day, Carmona was taken into custody without incident, and the child was found safe and later released to Child Protective Services. Carmona was returned to Tarrant County and indicted by a grand jury on February 6th. Court records show he is charged with murder, aggravated kidnapping, and theft of property. He remains in the Tarrant County Jail and is scheduled to appear in court on February 23rd.
State security regulators in Texas have issued an emergency cease and desist order to stop cryptocurrency companies, including Texitcoin, which maintains an office at 116 North Main Street here in Mansfield, from offering certain investment products in the state. The state Texas Securities Board says Texitcoin, MineTXC, Blockchain Mint, and founder Robert J. Gray are accused of improperly offering and selling crypto mining investments to Texas residents. According to the order, the companies promoted investment packages that promised daily returns from cryptocurrency mining and encouraged participants to recruit new investors for bonuses and commissions. Regulators say the investment packages were not registered as required by Texas law, and the people selling them were not registered as securities dealers or agents. The order also states that investors were not given key details about company finances, mining operations, or how investor money would be protected. The emergency order requires the company to immediately stop offering or selling investments in Texas and to stop making statements that could mislead investors. State officials are also reminding Texans to research any investment opportunity carefully, especially those promoted on social media that promise steady or passive returns. The case is still pending and the allegations have not been proven in court. Regulators say investors with questions can contact the State Texas Securities Board Enforcement Division at 512-305-8392.
And in entertainment news, a Mansfield native is turning local roots into national momentum as singer-songwriter Brenna Brigman moves from Mansfield stages to a nationwide television audience and growing streaming presence. A 2025 graduate of Legacy High School, Brigman is gaining attention as a contestant on season 24 of American Idol, where her audition performance of My Church by Maren Morris, another singer with Mansfield roots, helped introduce her to viewers across the country.
It gives me great pleasure to say, woo-hoo, you're going to Hollywood Week.
Thank you.
Her advancement through the early rounds of competition has drawn support from Mansfield residents and local arts supporters following her journey. Before appearing on national television, Brigman had already built a foundation as a working musician, songwriter, and producer. She has released multiple original projects, including the 2024 album Green Away and the 2025 EP Realizations, along with several singles such as Obsessed with Me Too, Special Somethings, and Change for Me. In addition to performing and recording, the 18-year-old Brigman is also investing in the next generation of performers by serving as a teacher at Destiny Studio, where she works with developing vocalists and young artists, balancing a rising professional career with music instruction close to home. Local venues, including The Lot and Levitt Pavilion Arlington, have previously featured Brigman in live performances, highlighting her original material and stage presence. Supporters say her progression from Mansfield classrooms and community stages to a national platform reflects the strength of the city's growing arts pipeline. With national exposure now added to her resume and new listeners discovering her original music, Brigman continues to build her career while maintaining strong ties to Mansfield, a hometown connection that supporters say remains central to her story. American Idol airs on Mondays at 7 p.m. Central Time on WFAA Channel 8.
Baseball, basketball, and soccer will cover it all because sports is next.
Hungry for bold flavor and a good time? Head on over to El Primo's to enjoy sizzling fajitas and their signature blue margarita. Enjoy weekend live entertainment and let the kids run wild with an outdoor play area and arcade. Planning a party? Multiple private rooms are available, including the all-new Parrot's Nest to make your event a success. Food, fun, and flavor for the whole family at El Primo's. Visit elprimos.net and bring your appetite. Located at Matlock and Country Club. El Primo's, where the locals go.
Mansfield Plumbing, Electrical, Heating, and Air is a family-owned local service provider with over 20 years of experience. Servicing Mansfield and surrounding areas, we offer expert plumbing, electrical, heating, and air solutions focused on quality workmanship, customer satisfaction, fair pricing, and guaranteed results for homes and businesses.
Call 817-473-8888. Mansfield Plumbers never second rate.
In sports, it's baseball, basketball, and soccer, not necessarily in that order. Let's start with boys basketball. In hard-court action Friday night, Lake Ridge topped Legacy 80-49. Your Mansfield Tigers were clobbered by North Crowley 95-60. Timberview was sacked by Seguin 60-52. The Wolves have won 8 of their last 9 games. Summit took the night off. The regular season is over with Mansfield and Lake Ridge moving on in the 6A playoffs, while Summit and Timberview have advanced to the 5A show. Over in girls basketball, the first round of playoffs, the by-district round, began Monday night. The Summit Lady Jags and Fort Worth's South Hills traveled to Burleson High School Monday night, where Summit took an easy victory, 100-13, and moves on to the area round against Argyle Thursday night. Tuesday night, Lake Ridge battled the Keller Lady Indians in Haltom City, while the Legacy girls took on powerhouse South Lake Carroll in Arlington. Both games were played after our publishing deadline. We ask you to refer to our Facebook page for the final score. Moving on to baseball, the lights have been on at the high school stadiums. The 20-game season is young for the 5 Mansfield ISD teams. The latest efforts include Summit routing Molina 14-1 and now go into a 3-day, 3-game tournament this weekend against Castleberry, Paladuro, and Paradise. Timberview also down Molina 10-1 and now are 1-1 on the season as they head into a 3-day, 5-game tournament this weekend. Legacy has started the season with 1 win, no losses, and 1 tie after calling it a draw against Arlington with a score of 7-7 after 14 innings. The Broncos play a 3-game tournament this weekend against Colleyville Heritage, Midlothian, and Timber Creek. Your Mansfield Tigers were dropped by South Grand Prairie 7-5 in 10 innings. And Lake Ridge played a scrimmage game against Granbury earlier this month. No score was reported as the boys prepare for 2 home non-conference games taking on VR Eaton Friday at 10 in the morning and Lindale Saturday at 2 in the afternoon. Next week, we'll focus on girls softball. In other sports, North Texas SC has signed midfielder Humberto Pela to a 2-year MLS Next Pro contract with a club option for a 3rd year. The deal is pending approval, his P1 visa and international transfer certificate. Pela was selected as the 44th overall pick in the 2026 MLS Super Draft after being drafted by FC Dallas out of the University of Virginia. During his college career, he appeared in 57 matches, recording 5 goals and 8 assists. He served as the team captain in the 24 and 25 seasons and earned United Soccer Coach's 2nd team All-American honors in 2025. North Texas SC competes in the MLS Next Pro and is affiliated with FC Dallas. The club plans to play their home matches at Texas Health Mansfield Stadium beginning on July 4th, 2026. And that, my friends, is a look at sports. This coming Sunday, February 22nd, is National Margarita Day. That tangy lime and tequila classic gets its own annual spotlight, and yes, participation is optional, but widely encouraged. The margarita's exact origin is still debated, with several stories tracing back to bartenders in Texas and Mexico in the 1940s. What's not debated is the basic formula: tequila, Cointreau or orange liqueur, and lime juice. And it has launched a small universe of variations from frozen to fruity to surprisingly spicy. Here's a fun fact with a Texas twist. Texas restaurateur Mariano Martinez introduced the first frozen margarita machine in 1971, turning brain freeze into a repeatable process. Yes, the Mariano, who owns Mariano's restaurant along Highway 360 right up there in Arlington. From salt or tahini-rimmed to straight up, it remains one of America's most ordered cocktails. So this coming Sunday, warm up your blender, celebrate responsibly, and try to keep the karaoke version of Margaritaville under the legal noise limit.
Coming up after the break, we turn the page to the features section.
I'm Angel Biasatti, and today we're talking about how you sleep and why your posture in bed could be the reason you're waking up stiff, sore, or cranky. In Methodist Mansfield, News to Know.
In this week's Cocktail of the Week, this cocktail isn't for date night. It's for the Groot chat come to life.
We are Mansfield's only source for news, talk, and information. I'm Colleen Daniel, and this is About Mansfield.
This portion of the news was brought to you by El Primo's, where the locals go.
Hey there, it's Luke from Cool Hand Electric. Are you tired of dealing with plugs or lights that just won't cooperate? Well, don't fret. Give us a call. Worried about power outages or surges damaging your precious electronics? We've got you covered. Whether it's a whole house generator or surge protection, our solution-oriented Cool Hands are ready to tailor the perfect option that suits your needs and budget. At Cool Hand Electric, excellence is still cool.
Cool hand, cool hand, cool hand, where excellence is still cool.
At Methodist Mansfield Medical Center, we've been caring for our home team for over 15 years. Today, you'll find award-winning physicians on the medical staff, advanced neurosurgery, a Level 3 trauma center, critical care for newborns, and comprehensive orthopedic care. Methodist Mansfield, delivering the care our friends, neighbors, and home team depend on. That's community. and why so many people trust Methodist.
Congratulations to Delilah Crosby, who was the first person to correctly answer last week's Mansfield trivia question. What is the name of the Mansfield Fire Rescue Chief? Delilah knew it was Mike Ross, and she has won a $25 restaurant gift card. Looking for the weekly, highly coveted, wildly popular About Mansfield trivia question? You can find it at its new home on the About Mansfield Facebook page. So, log on to Facebook right now and hit the About Mansfield News Talk page. As always, the first person to email the correct answer will win a $25 restaurant gift card, courtesy of Joe Jenkins Insurance. Good luck.
Hi, this is Joe Jenkins with Joe Jenkins Farmers Insurance, specializing in auto, home, commercial, and life insurance. I was born and raised here in Mansfield, Texas. We're active in the community, and Mansfield's a town we really care about. Our office has over 30 years' experience in the insurance industry, and we're passionate about what we do and about customer service. For a free quote, please visit our website at joejenkinsinsurance.com or give us a call at 817-472-6058. Once again, that website is joejenkinsinsurance.com.
Hi, I'm Corinne Fiagami, and you're listening to About Mansfield.
Welcome back to About Mansfield, your audio newspaper. Let's open up the features section. Angel Biasatti is here to talk about how your sleep posture could be the key to a great day in Methodist Mansfield News to Know. Angel?
If you've ever rolled out of bed with a sore neck, an achy back, or tight shoulders, your body might be sending you a message. Your sleep posture is off. But do not worry. With a few simple tweaks, you can sleep like a superstar and wake up feeling refreshed and pain-free. Here are 7 expert-backed tips to correct your sleep posture. Morning aches along with your spine are a warning. Your body is telling you it spent the night out of alignment. Sleep the way you stand. Think straight line from head to tailbone, ears over your shoulders, shoulders over your hips, and chin level. Small adjustments can make a huge difference. Avoid sleeping on your tummy. Stomach sleeping may reduce snoring, but it often leads to neck and shoulder strain. Side or back sleeping keeps your spine happier. Pick the right pillow. Back sleepers, use a firm or an ergonomic pillow. Side sleepers, use a pillow that is the same height as you are from neck to shoulder. And remember, pillows do not last forever. Replace them when they lose support. And fill in the gaps. Use small pillows or towels to support your knees, hips, or lower back. A body pillow for side sleepers can align your hips and reduce pressure. Even subtle support changes can keep muscles relaxed all night long. Choose the right mattress. Not too soft, not too firm. Your mattress should cushion yet stabilize. Research shows you should replace your bed every 7 years for the best sleep results. Try basic remedies for lingering pain. Soreness happens, but persistent pain needs a professional check from your primary care physician. For typical aches, over-the-counter anti-inflammatories, gentle stretching, massages, alternating heat or ice packs, or even a hot shower before bed can work wonders. Sleep is not just rest, it's recharging your body and mind. With these tweaks, you can wake up pain-free, energized, and ready to take on the day. For more wellness tips and resources, visit MethodistHealthSystem.org. That's Methodist Mansfield News to Know. I'm Angel Biasatti, reporting for the About Mansfield podcast.
Shaken or stirred, you know it's going to be good as Brian Certain serves up a friendship drink for the multi-person group chat in this week's Cocktail of the Week. Brian?
Welcome to another episode of the Cocktail of the Week here on the About Mansfield podcast, brought to you as always by Bourbon Gospel, where we preach the gospel of bourbon to the uninitiated and the enthusiast. I'm still your host, Brian Certain, and this week we're turning our attention to one of the most underrated but absolutely necessary forms of love, friendship. That's right. It's Palentine's Week. Whether you're single, happily coupled, or somewhere in between, this cocktail celebrates the people who choose you on purpose every day. The ones who keep your secrets, who show up with wine when you're spiraling, and know your coffee order by heart. We're introducing the Palentine's Punch. It's a sparkling hibiscus paloma punch made for sharing and sure to make you the MVP of any get-together. What are the ingredients? 1 cup, yes, I said cup. Remember, this is a batch cocktail. 1 cup of a silver tequila, or mezcal if you want a smoky flavor. 1.5 cups of my favorite juice, sarcastically said. So it's 1.5 cups of fresh grapefruit juice, 1/2 cup of hibiscus syrup, either store-bought or by simmering dried hibiscus with equal parts of sugar and water, 1/4 cup of lime juice, 1 cup of Topo Chico or other of your favorite sparkling mineral waters, and finally, optional will be 1/2 cup of Saint Germain elderflower liqueur, which adds a nice floral twist. Garnish can be grapefruit wheels, lime slices, edible flowers, bonus points if they're local Texas blooms. And glassware, you need a pitcher, you need rocks glasses, or vintage teacups for flair. And how are we putting this together? In a large pitcher, combine the tequila, the grapefruit juice, the hibiscus syrup, the lime juice, and if you're using the elderflower liqueur. Chill it in the fridge for at least 30 minutes to let the flowers mingle. And just before serving, add sparkling water and give it a gentle stir. Pour into individual glasses filled with ice and then garnish with citrus slices and flowers. The more colorful, the better. So a little fun history. The Paloma is a classic Mexican cocktail dating back to the 1950s, often credited as more popular than the margaritas south of the border. Traditionally made with grapefruit soda, we're taking a modern community approach with fresh juice and hibiscus, a flower deeply rooted in Latin and Caribbean traditions. In Mexican culture, hibiscus tea is a staple, offering both vibrant flavor and a nod to shared family meals. This punch version keeps the communal spirit alive and dresses it up for the party. Fun fact, February 13th is often celebrated as Galentine's Day, but around here we embrace Palentine's Day for friendship of all kinds and all month long. For the mocktail version, called Buddy Bubbles, take the 1.5 cups of grapefruit juice, the 1/2 cup of hibiscus syrup, the 1/4 cup of lime juice, 1.5 cups of Topo Chico, and then a non-alcoholic elderflower cordial. Follow the same chill and pour method, pouring into festive glasses, top with the bubbles, and don't forget the garnish. Friendship deserves flair too. So this week, raise your glass to the chosen family, the brunch crew, the late night call people, the friends who show up with duct tape and a shovel if needed. Palentine's Punch is the people who remind us that love isn't often or always romantic. Sometimes it's loud, sometimes it's messy, and it's a whole lot more fun. As always, I'm open to hear your take and input. You can reach me at brian@bourbongospel.com. And until next week, America's poet Mark Twain said, too much of anything is bad. But too much whiskey, well, that's barely enough. Reporting for the About Mansfield podcast, I'm Brian Certain.
We're back in 60 seconds with the conclusion of Steve's in-studio interview with retired criminal attorney Denise Wilkerson.
Imagine a city where innovation knows no bounds, where dreams take flight, and the future unfolds before your very eyes. Welcome to Mansfield, a beacon of growth and a testament to vision. In the heart of Mansfield, a remarkable transformation is underway. But it's not just about the physical landscape. It's about the spirit that drives us forward. A spirit of collaboration that bridges cultures, a spirit of entrepreneurship that fuels prosperity, and a spirit of community that binds us as one. Mansfield is more than just a place. It's a canvas where diversity paints the picture of progress. From art festivals that ignite creativity to tech hubs that redefine boundaries, this city celebrates every voice, every passion. Mansfield, where growth knows no limits and the vision is limitless. Brought to you by the unstoppable spirit of the Mansfield Economic Development Corporation.
Hi, I'm Della Sapp, and you're listening to About Mansfield.
Welcome back to another segment of About Mansfield. I'm Steve Casillo as we make the transition from news to talk. And this week, we conclude our conversation with retired prosecuting attorney Denise Wilkerson as we dive deep into her case with David Koresh and the Branch Davidians. Enjoy. When did George Roden then become the head of the Branch Davidians?
Okay. He took over in 1984. His parents had become leaders of the Branch Davidians after Florence was disgraced. Mm-hmm. And George thought by the fact that his father and mother had been leaders, that he should be the next leader. That's about the time that David Koresh, at that time he was known as Vernon Howe, showed up at the property. And he became very close with George Roden's mother, so much so that George got very jealous of the relationship that this young man, because Koresh was only in his early 20s at the time, was having with his 80-year-old mother. But as soon as she passed on, the feud between George and David came to a head until one day George Roden drove all of Vernon's followers off the property using an Uzi to threaten them. And Koresh and his followers went to Palestine, Texas, where they lived in a school bus and a tent community.
Here's something I also learned about an hour ago. The Uzi was purchased at a JCPenney.
Yes.
How progressive is JCPenney selling Uzis?
Well, they weren't automatic weapons.
Yeah, okay.
They had to be modified in order to be. But the reason why I know that is because Michael Jacobson, the president of the Arlington Chamber of Commerce, was the one working at the JCPenney.
Wow.
And George Roden approached him about purchasing. He wanted 5 Uzis.
And he only sold one?
I think he only sold one at the time.
Okay.
But he remembers it very well because he had to ask manager if it was okay to sell 5.
That'd be a no. So Roden goes back with the Uzi and he tries to drive Koresh and 6 others.
All of Koresh's followers. There was probably about 50, 60 people that he drove off of the property. Because
Koresh now is coming up in power. He's getting his people together. Was he looking to overthrow, if you will, or he was just getting a group of guys together because he had his own little, shall we say, posse?
He probably, if you were looking at it from a follower standpoint, was the better leader in the sense that he knew the Bible inside and out. He could preach. George Roden, I don't know what his actual diagnosis was, but I would guess just based on, my layman's opinion that he was a paranoid schizophrenic. Mm. He was not a preacher. He had some wild ideas. So, and the fact that he used an Uzi to convey his message was probably not very popular. His followers, they made methamphetamine.
Okay.
It was a wild bunch that followed George.
So let's look at the ratio then. David Koresh, you said, had about 40,
50 followers.
Okay. And Roden had 100?
No, less than that.
Oh, less than 100.
Yeah.
Okay.
When the feud took place, a lot of the people who had been living at the property just left. Now, they still had followers worldwide.
Okay.
This is a worldwide denomination. Koresh would send missionaries to Australia, to China, or I'm not sure if they could get into China at the time, but everywhere in the world. England, I know that they had followers. He recruited heavily in Hawaii, California, of course. Mm-hmm. Even though they didn't follow him to Palestine, he had followers worldwide.
When Roden came to Koresh and his followers with the Uzi, was he successful in getting Koresh off the property?
Yes, for several years.
Okay. For several years, he had then at one point Koresh had to have come back because that was his demise. Where does this all play in with the case that you tried?
The case that I tried was Koresh and his followers trying to reclaim the property.
Okay. After going to Palestine.
They're still in Palestine. They tried legal maneuvers first. They would go to the court and the sheriff's department, the police department, and make claims against George Roden. They filed lawsuits trying to claim the property, but courts don't get involved in matters of religion. So determining who is the true leader of a church is not the court's business.
So, all right. So they went through the legal process.
Hit a
roadblock.
Hit roadblocks. Halloween Day, 1987. I'm working at the district attorney's office, and I get a phone call. They passed it through to me. I must have been the only one at my desk.
Because, okay, go ahead. Keep going.
And it was the sheriff's department. And the sheriff's department wanted to know, because some Branch Davidians were there, if they had enough evidence to get a warrant for abuse of a corpse. And what the Branch Davidians had described to the sheriff's department was a casket sitting in a church on a platform that they claimed that George Roden had dug up because he was challenging Koresh to a resurrection contest.
Oh, nice. Nice. Let's see who we can get to get this body to move. What'd you think of that phone call?
I thought it was a prank. It's Halloween Day where everything is still, a little weird. And then you get a phone call about a resurrection contest and abuse of a corpse. I did handle it seriously, and I gave it thought, well, do they have enough evidence for a warrant? And I said, well, did anyone see the body in the casket? How do we know it's not an empty casket in a church? Because having a casket in a church didn't sound very, that's not against the law.
No.
Where else are you going to put a casket? They said they could come back with a photograph proving that there was a body in the casket. And I said, well, I'll look at it again if you bring me this photograph. I didn't know how they were obtaining this evidence.
Yeah.
I didn't know what it would take, but they said they could get me a photograph of the body in the casket.
Were they able to?
Not at that time.
Okay.
So November 3rd, 1987, at 3 a.m., 8 Branch Davidians, heavily armed and dressed in camouflage, snuck into Rodenville
yeah,
to get the photograph. They entered the church, but the casket, they couldn't find the casket. It wasn't there. So then they went into hiding. It's a big property. They hid. And not until midday. So from 3 a.m. to midday, they're on the property, but no one has spotted them. But at midday, they decide to march down the road in Rodenville and tell anybody who's still in their houses. Most of the people who were there had gone to work. They weren't there at midday. Yeah. But the kids who lived there had all gone to school. So they go from house to making sure they're vacant. George Roden lived in the house closest to the headquarters. So he would have been the last house that they came to. But in one of the houses, his daughter, Bobby, who's about 19, 20 years old, she recognized Koresh, and they're saying, hey, we're with the sheriff's department.
Oh, no. Okay.
And she's like, no, you're not. She ran to her father's house, told him that they were coming, and that gave George Roden a chance to grab his Uzi, get a friend, Tom, who had a handgun, and they waited for Koresh and the followers to meet them in the road. So we're talking about, gunfight at the OK Corral.
In Waco.
In Waco.
Just 90 minutes down the road. And shots were fired.
Shots were fired. Roden hid behind a tree, and his friend Tom dove into a ditch. Because as soon as they saw Koresh and the followers, they realized they were incredibly outgunned. There were 5 assault rifles, 2 assault shotguns, 2 other rifles, a guitar string, and over 3,000 rounds of ammunition that Koresh and his followers were carrying.
Someone died.
Attempted murder.
Attempted murder. No, so no one died.
No one died. George Roden was hit in the hand.
Okay.
One of the very first shots actually went through the magazine in the Uzi.
Okay.
Making it unable to fire.
So attempted murder, there were some arrests. Koresh was arrested. Roden was arrested?
No, he was self-defense. It was his home.
Okay. Koresh is arrested and along with
7 others.
7 others. And this is where you get the phone call.
Well, this is when I got assigned the case. There was a lead prosecutor assigned to it. El Hadid Talib Shabazz
was the lead prosecutor?
Was the lead prosecutor. And he is from L.A. Okay. And then there was me. And he had played football in college. So Shabazz was a big dude. And then there was me. And we got assigned to try the case together.
How did a guy from Los Angeles get the gig when you already were there in Waco?
Oh, well, he was in the Waco DA's office. He was he was an experienced felony prosecutor.
Okay.
10 days prior to the trial, George Roden was arrested.
George threatened to inflict AIDS and herpes on a federal judge.
Is
that correct?
That's correct.
Wow. And you can't do that.
You can't do that.
You can't even threaten.
No.
Okay.
And he was doing it with his powers. George was going to do it with powers, not
through osmosis.
Right. Yes.
and I guess it didn't work.
It didn't work, but the defense attorney for Koresh knew the federal judge and convinced him to issue the warrant right before the trial. So George Roden was arrested 10 days before our trial started. And during that time, in that 10 days, Koresh and his followers were ready to move back onto the property. And they came in and convinced everybody that was still remaining there to leave.
So with Roden going into incarceration 10 days before the trial, did that cause a mistrial?
Oh, not at all.
No. So again, I'm trying to figure out how was Koresh incarcerated as well? Was he found guilty for attempted murder? I'm trying to figure out how Koresh wound up back at Mount Carmel.
Oh, they paid bonds as soon as they were arrested. I don't think they spent 24 hours inside of a jail after the shootout. No, they weren't. The trial lasted for 13 days of actual trial time. Okay. So, business days.
Right.
Koresh very much so got the sympathy of the jury. During the trial, his family, all the defendants' families came. So we had 20 children sitting in the courtroom every day. We had all the little old ladies that were Koresh's followers in the courtroom every day, all their wives. And they sat and the little kids did homeschool projects sitting in the benches. But that's what it seemed like. It was like he turned the courtroom into his church.
The Church of Law.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the jury hung. The evidence to me that was the most compelling is the defense attorney would have each one of the defendants demonstrate what they did during the shootout. Because there was no question, hundreds, thousands maybe, rounds of ammunition were fired. But every single one of the defendants, except for David, they took a weapon and demonstrated it where they held it up in the air and they said, we were firing up in the air. We didn't aim at anybody. We were just firing up in the air. We just wanted to scare them.
Yeah.
But then when Koresh took the weapon, he took it in his hands and he pointed it directly at well, this was the really weird thing. He was asked to get out of the witness chair and come sit between me and his defense attorney. This was a crowded courtroom because we had 8 defendants. We had 2 attorneys on either side, and we're all in this regular-sized Waco felony courtroom.
Yeah.
So our tables were very close, but Koresh got into the space between the two tables, we're elbow to elbow, took the rifle and pointed it back at the witness chair saying, well, if that's George Roden, this is how I shot at him. And he aims directly at the witness chair. Pow, pow, pow. He made sound effects and everything.
Wow.
And he says, but I wasn't trying to kill him. I was aiming at the tree.
Of course.
There was probably 20 gun holes. I forget how many, but bullet holes, sorry. Bullet holes in the tree. The jury hung because George Roden did not do well while he was incarcerated. His mental facilities got worse and worse. He had been told by a couple inmates that they had dreamed that the second coming of Christ would be completely hairless. So he shaved all of his body hair off, including his eyebrows and his facial hair, and then burned it. I didn't know they allowed matches in the jail, but he was able to burn his hair in the jail. Set a little fire. He got in trouble for that. And then when talking to him, he was focused on the fact that he was the second coming of Christ. He thought he was Jesus.
Yeah.
So we decided not to call him as a witness in the trial of attempted murder, his attempted murder. And the defense did. The defense called him and showed how he had lost his mind.
What was it about David Koresh that he was able to amass a following?
He had the Bible memorized, so he had this incredible knowledge. He had an incredible passion. If you watch some of those Waco made-for-TV movies, you can see the actors, when they're portraying Koresh, show what a passionate person he was. He was like that. And then later on, when I got to know him, because he would come to my office to visit me at the DA's office, he was also very intuitive. He looked me in the eyes, and I'll just pretend you're
okay.
And he goes, Denise, it breaks my heart that someone as smart as you would think that I would be even capable of wanting to cause a single, harm to any human being, even someone, like George Roden. I just think you're smarter than that. He would appeal to a person's sense in such an intuitive fashion that the people in my office thought he was trying to recruit me. He was, because this was after the trial.
Okay.
And after the charges were dismissed by the new DA, because the one that had been indicted was found not guilty, sued the Ballot Corporation, won the largest libel settlement, defamation settlement in the United States at the time, $52 million, and he was out of there. So we got a new DA in. The new DA looked through all the cases that were pending, saw that there was a case still pending against David Koresh, and he dismissed it. He was part of the community that the defense attorney for Koresh was in. They were very good friends. And it was just easier as a new DA to come in and just dismiss some of these old cases. But even after the case was dismissed, that was when it was appropriate for me to talk to Koresh.
Sure. And the case was dismissed again in 87?
89.
89. And Roden was out of his senses. Koresh charmed the jury.
He charmed the jury. There were some jury members who hugged him when the trial was over. I had never, I don't think I've seen anything like that since.
No.
But that was the first time I'd ever seen jury members hug a defendant.
Okay, hung jury. So what did that do to your career?
Oh, it didn't impact it at all.
It was just
another day.
Just another
just another day in Waco.
But Koresh would come and frequently visit you.
He came 2 or 3 times to my office.
So even though you were trying to put him away,
yes.
How was your relationship, and what were some of the conversations that were going on between you and Koresh?
Well, one of the reasons why it came to my attention is after the trial, the Branch Davidians doubled their efforts to get involved in the Waco community. They were volunteers for the Waco Police Department. They were doing a fundraiser for the Waco Police Department, where the police department was selling circus tickets or something to send underprivileged kids to the circus. Well, those underprivileged kids were Branch Davidian children.
Okay. Okay.
The Branch Davidian there was an attorney who was a member of the Branch Davidians, Wayne Martin, who got on the court appointment docket. So I'd see him over at the courthouse all the time. He was a Harvard law educated attorney. He was a regular at the courthouse doing CPS appointments, Child Protective Services appointments.
Okay.
And they became closer to the people at the McLennan County Sheriff's Department, because one of the things they explained to the Sheriff's Department is, hey, we're going to be firing a lot of guns out on our property. So if you hear guns, it's because we're having shooting practice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the Sheriff's Department was fine with that. One of the Branch Davidians was a postman. Like I said, David Koresh played in a bar at the Chelsea Street pub. He played in a band.
Is that pub still there?
I don't think so.
I thought maybe I could get a gig down there. But, all right.
And he had a recording studio in downtown Waco.
Oh,
his music career was very important to him. So he would, he came by my office a few times. He'd bring a couple of the come-defendants. And we would just chat for 20 minutes or so about things. He would say, come on out, come see what we're doing out there. He was trying to, he was a recruiter. That's what he did.
1989. All right. And you've had a couple of 3 meetings with him in your office. And you had mentioned at the beginning of this interview, it wasn't until 93
right,
that the Branch Davidians, the whole Waco thing blew up.
The whole world learns about the Branch Davidians.
Right. But now Koresh obviously was involved with that, but you were not involved with that.
No, I had moved to Galveston in 1990.
I would assume you followed it closely, though.
Very, very closely. I was able to follow it from Galveston, obviously on the news like everybody else. But because people found out about my background, I was brought to Waco by Dateline NBC to be interviewed there in Waco at the scene. And I was interviewed by the New York Times and Newsweek. And
that was your 15 minutes of fame.
That was my 15 minutes of fame. And I was 8 months pregnant at the time, so I had to have a special note from my doctor that allowed me to travel, to get on a plane and go to Waco.
Because you had to go out to New York to be on these.
No, I was in Waco.
Okay.
If you remember, back in '93, they set up this huge community of broadcasters and radio people,
satellite trucks
all over the outside the Branch Davidian compound.
What was the purpose of the raid, and then your thoughts on the raid?
The raid should not have happened. The purpose of the raid was to serve an arrest warrant on David Koresh and a search warrant for. And here's the thing: they had such a relationship with the local law enforcement that if the federal authorities had contacted the sheriff's department, the sheriff of McLennan County had said at the time, if they had only called me, I could have had David turn himself in.
And instead, it almost became World War III. It was huge.
And I'm not saying they shouldn't have arrested David Koresh.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, but they had evidence of a crime that he had committed, but the fact that there were 20 to 30 children in the compound, there was a bunch of little old ladies, and I never did talk about why there were so many little old ladies there.
Why were there so many little old ladies there?
Because one of the ways Koresh financed all the guns was he was very good at recruiting widows who had money to come live with him if they were lonely. And when I say live with him, live out the compound.
Right.
And he would tell them, listen, we have children for you to play with. We have communal meals. You'll have purpose again because we'll put you to work. And these women loved him. And so they would turn over their credit cards and he would use their credit cards to purchase the guns. And that was one of the things I discovered during my trial is how did the they afford all of these guns, who was buying the guns, and it turned out to be a bunch of little old ladies.
And I do recall having watched the Waco miniseries that Koresh was portrayed as a very charismatic, very likable, down-to-earth person who could easily sway you. Or not you, people in general.
Yes.
As you said, he came to my office and people thought that he was trying to recruit you.
Right.
That's the feeling that I got was that, wow, he seems very trusting.
Think of the, all the famous evangelical pastors.
Mm-hmm.
He had the very same personality.
Okay.
It's just that he also came with a side of guns.
As the dust settles on Waco, is there a conclusion to your story about whether it's the trial or the demise of the Branch Davidians, at least from the Waco compound? Is there a finale to Denise's story?
When it comes to the Branch Davidians, they're not done in Waco.
There's I would assume they're still active.
There's still people there. There's still the community. I used to go out there and visit the location because I had gone out there before the fire. When I was trying the case, I had visited the property a couple times with George, and he had walked me through the property and talked about the facts. I'd also gone out there after the fact. I met with his wife when George was in custody. She was still living. It's a huge property. She had built a house on the outskirts of the property with her son, and so she was still living there, even though Koresh and his followers had taken over the main area of the community. So afterwards, I did go back, to see the memorials, to see the trees, to see the new church that was built. So when you ask about finality, the office, the printing press, they're still putting out the publications and mailing them worldwide.
Wow.
Is still active. They still have members who come by. They'll knock on the door of the school because they want to see their doomsday clock. And
it's just not as crazy it was in the 90s.
Right, but it's still there.
It's still an organized organized organization. It is and it's a religious organization.
Yes,
just like the Catholics and the.
And I don't know who their current leadership is, and they are a separate branch of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. Mm-hmm. They're not part of them. I think the main part has disavowed them. They still consider themselves the Branch Davidians.
You have done several keynote speaking engagements, and in the past, if someone wanted to reach out to you, because April is the big month. You mentioned it's the anniversary of the fire. If someone wanted to reach out to you and say, "Hey, Denise, we would love to have you come speak to our organization, our group, our what have you," how can they get a hold of Denise Wilkerson?
I'll give my email address.
Okay.
Denise V. Wilkerson @gmail.com.
Denise V as in Victor Wilkerson, WILKERSON @gmail.com. Please, to the listeners, if you are part of an organization that remembers the Waco incidents, and reach out to Denise, have her come speak to your organization, and she's got her PowerPoint.
We didn't even get to talk about the casket in the courthouse.
That is what's going to happen next time. And you've been a pleasure. I mean, this is an hour goes by so very fast, and it's been a pleasure having you on About Mansfield. Denise, thank you. I hope someone does reach out to you.
Thank you,
and we
Steve.
see you out here in the community talking about the Branch Davidians in Waco. Thanks for being on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Coming up next week on About Mansfield, we will talk in studio with a man who not only deserves a page in the Mansfield history books, but an entire chapter. Reverend Floyd S. Moody joins us in recognition of Black History Month. In the meantime, this is the place where you will hear the latest Mansfield news, talk, and information. Until then, don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, engage, connect, amplify, celebrate, embrace, explore, share, love. You know the idea. support the podcast if you haven't already so you never miss an episode. It's free and it's easy. Head on over to our website, aboutmansfield.com. We will never, ever, ever send you any spam. My personal promise to you.
About Mansfield is recorded at Podcast Mansfield Recording Studio. Hosts, Steve Casillo and Colleen Daniel. Moment with the Mayor, Michael Evans. Methodist Mansfield News to Know, Angel Biasatti. Cultural Arts Calendar, Tim Roberts. Cocktail of the Week, Brian Certain. Post-production editing, mixing, and mastering, Steve Casillo and Andrew Miner.
This podcast is copyrighted by Podcast Mansfield Recording Studio and is intended for the private use of our audience. Any other use of this podcast without prior written consent is strictly prohibited. On behalf of the entire news team, I'm Steve Casillo, and this is About Mansfield.